Avoidants rarely slam that door shut. They usually leave the door open just a smidge. When they break up with you or when they abruptly discard you, they often don't completely slam the door. They'll give you little tiny bits of hope that the relationship might rekindle. They give themselves a little avenue to get back in with you. They might stay friends with you on social media. They might make vague statements like, well, someday if the stars align, if it's meant to be, we'll get back together. I'm not saying we'll never get back together. I'm just not ready right now. I need to work on myself. And then maybe we can get back together, giving you just a little bit of hope. They might hold on to your things at their place or not return your things from their place, just giving themselves a little avenue to get in the door and get back together with you if they so choose. What they're doing is they're keeping you as an available option in their back pocket. This is a person that is severely insecure with a complete lack of sense of self, a person that doesn't feel good about themselves, a person with a deep wound of shame, a person that needs external validation to feel better about themselves. They don't know how to internally validate themselves. If you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant that leans heavily dismissive, you are dealing with a person that was emotionally neglected in childhood. They were not given that love and nurturing that they needed, and they personalized it, growing up with a wound of shame. Shame is that feeling like I'm defective, I'm not lovable. So they need that external validation to feel better about themselves, to soothe that wound, to find their self-worth through the approval of others. But because of that neglect, they developed very specific fears in the relationship that cause them to self-sabotage the relationship. But they still like to keep you as an available option. They don't want you to hate them, and they want you to want them because it helps them feel good. And having available options as sources for validation really helps them feel much better and much more validated. And that's why they'll often have a lot of exes that they stay in contact with, stay friends with, because they know that these are potential available options if they decide that they want to get that romantic validation from this person. So it feels like you're not getting that closure, you're not getting that clarity, you're getting vagueness and little areas where they are kind of hinting that there could potentially be a future together. And it's causing you to cling on to that hope. Well, they're not returning my things. Understand, you're dealing with a very insecure person who is emotionally unavailable. They still want your validation. That's why they'll also do things like breadcrumb. Breadcrumbing is dropping out little clues and cues that they might be regretting the breakup or they might still be interested in you to keep the validation coming to prevent the door from completely slamming shut. But when they're doing these behaviors, when they're keeping that door slightly open, they're doing it for their own validation purposes. They're doing it to get the attention that they feel that they need to get what they desire. They're not considering you. They're not considering the lack of closure and its impact on you and how you feel about it. They're not empathizing with your position and your feelings. They're solely focused on themselves. Due to that emotional neglect in childhood, they learn that the only person that will look out for them and take care of their emotional needs is them. So they become very self-focused, only really considering themselves and what their immediate feelings and needs are, not considering the impact of their behaviors or the needs or the feelings of their partner or anyone else for that matter. Understand that they're doing this doesn't mean that this is a person that jumping back into a relationship with is a good idea. If they're not working on themselves when they try to come back, if they're keeping you as an option, understand it's likely to happen again because the same triggers, the same wounds are still all there. They're unhealed, and it's inevitable that any future go-around in that relationship will trigger it again with the same result. So you don't have to allow yourself to be treated as an option. You don't have to allow yourself to get breadcrumbed. You don't have to allow yourself to get friend-zoned, and you don't have to allow them to hold on to your things. You can hold boundaries. Boundaries are your limits of what you want, what you don't want, what you tolerate, what you won't tolerate, what you need, what you don't need, and what your expectations are. You get to set your limits. And you're not wrong for having boundaries. Your boundaries might not work for them, but you're allowed to set them. And you can simply say, being friend zoned here or being friends, it doesn't work for me, because that would just reopen the wound. For me, I'm looking for a romantic relationship. And if that's not something you're able to do, then I ask you to give me my time and space so I can heal. That's one way of setting a boundary. Or you can simply set a boundary on the personal items. Well, I'd really like to have my things back. Right now, we're not together, and that really is a boundary for me. So I ask you to please return my stuff so I can have it back and I can heal and move on. You don't have to allow them to string you along. You don't have to allow them to breadcrumb you. You can hold a boundary with that. Every time I hear from you when it's without a purpose, it just reopens the wound and it makes it harder for me to heal and move on. So unless you're reaching out with a purpose of really repairing and really fixing the relationship, then I ask you to please not reach out and please give me my space so I can heal and move on. You can set boundaries on any of these things and protect your heart, because you don't have to be treated as an option, because you're not an option. And you're not wrong for standing up for yourself in a healthy way. It's not a reflection of you when they behave this way, it's a reflection of them.